Okay, so hopefully the sound is working this time. Hi everyone. I don't know if I'm speaking for myself or if you can hear me. Anyway, thank you for being here. And today it's another episode of Learning from the Masters, where we are going to have a look at Jean-Léon Gérôme, which is a great artist that I really love. Yes, you can hear. Yay! Yay me. How's it going, everyone? Hey, Maya, Carrie, Ina, Chris. Great to have you guys. Alright, so today's Jean-Léon Gérôme, a French artist. So it's not that well known, or maybe he is, because I mean you guys obviously know a lot of artists, but like in the history of art, it's kind of unfairly forgotten because he was a late 19th century where all the avant-gardes and all the impressionism and like post-impressionism, everything was starting already, and he was still around. So he kind of became out of like he kind of like in his time he was still pretty famous, but after that he sort of became forgotten. Unfair for me, because he's a really great artist and he has nothing to envy to impressionism, and his use of color is just amazing in skills. So there's not too many elements in Google in Google Art Project that I found. So what I suggest is like we're just gonna have a quick look at who he was, just because I think he's not that well known. So like basic like Wikipedia. Jean-Léon Gérôme was a French painter and sculptor in the style known as Academicism. Well, you could call it that because that's his formation, but like to me most of his work is mostly Orientalism, and it has a lot to do with Romanticism too. So I think it's not the best. Like for me, I wouldn't call an academist. Like, hi Dennis. Yeah, his use of light is just brilliant, and it has nothing to do with the classical art of academies of his time. He was really something else. And like even compared to someone like Bouguereau, which was painting around the same time, I mean his paintings are so full of light, and the color is always so controlled but vibrant. And I think it is all because of value. So I'm gonna use not Photoshop but GIMP, because I don't have Photoshop, but I have GIMP on this computer. I'm gonna use Photoshop and we're really going to try to like pick up the colors and see how it does. Oh, your exams? How did they go? Hey, Jack here. Oh, the exams were good. Okay, cool, Maya. Congrats. All right. So they say bringing the academic painting tradition to an artistic climax. All right. He's considered one of the most important painters from this period, which is true, but he was forgotten as soon as the avant-garde came. He was forgotten, and like nowadays we don't talk as much about him. All right, so let's have a look at one of his painting. Now this is not one, this is just my my screensaver. All right, so let's open. All right, so I'm gonna try to really, well, let's start with this one, because like this one is, it's just awesome. All right, this one is called Pollice verso, or it's Latin for thumbs down, because like they're trying to have this guy killed. All right. Hey, Drinky. Yeah, but it's not Waterhouse today. I really thought that for Waterhouse I needed better reproductions, and I don't have them. So yeah, I don't have like very good quality pictures, and Google Art Projects doesn't have many Waterhouse either. Hola, Brendan. But like the control of values in color, if you just look at this crowd, I mean, just look at this. Isn't this amazing? Like he could robot profile, like make a scene like in the you know, like in the crime scene guys, where they say, oh, who is this guy, and they like identify, because like there's a lot of definition, but if you look at this, it's mostly like just paint. So sorry, the quality is not great. It's not as great as Google Art Project. Google Art Project doesn't have everything. But like there's so much detail. It's so, oops. It's so much in control. Just works great, I think. I mean, the colors are like superb, and the rays of sunlight right there, they just give this such a dynamic. And this helmet, I mean, it's just amazing. You'd love to see a video talking about art valuation and how it works. What do you call art valuation? How would you begin to do that, Flo? Well, a painting like this, I mean, it's a huge work. It's huge. I don't know the dimensions of this one. I'm gonna try to see if I can find the dimensions. Do they have it? No, they don't have it. Alright, so so, oh yeah, it's like 1 meters and 1.5. Yeah. So it's pretty large. And to do a painting like this, I think it goes with the classical academy technique, which is make a lot of drawings first, make a lot of studies all over the place, then probably make an underpaint, like a very precise drawing on the canvas before painting. Not the crowd here probably, but the most of the painting. maybe square, like use a square, like the grid technique to just transfer the drawing on the canvas. After that, I would say that he would make, I'm just trying to think, I don't know his exact technique. Probably make an imprimatura with just some kind of brown. I'm not sure he did grisaille, because like his use of color doesn't necessarily call for a grisaille. It's hard to say. It's hard to talk about exactly the technique. Oh, how great artists were painting without a reference photo. They were having lots of models, and they did lots of studies. So he probably always had a palette with him, like an outdoor painting kit, to just paint along the way and sort of make mental images of how the light works. Because like you can't have this scene and you don't have a reference photo, so that's for sure. And how do you make the colors so realistic and vivid at the same time? So probably he went. He traveled a lot. He was part of the Napoleon campaigns with where they were going to Egypt and all sorts of places. So he was probably painting along the way during his trips, like painting sand, painting rocks, painting walls of this kind, painting. And for the rest, it's just, it's amazing. It's pure knowledge. Because how do you know how to create, like, how do you know that you're going to need this kind of pink for the skin tone here? Because it all looks so realistic. And even like this hand, everything is just perfect. And he could not have painted that on the spot. That's impossible. So this is I wonder how they did this. But lots of work, that's for sure. Hey Vox. Lots and lots of work. Yeah, it's amazing when you think about it. I mean, if you look at this shadow. So yeah, he probably had a model for this. But the simple fact that it just fits, and the rest of the lights, like, it's amazing how everything fits. And this is the beauty of Jerome, which is like, it's never been reached by anyone else. Like this type of light, of vivid and realistic light, was achieved by impressionists, but they did not achieve this level of detail and carefully modeled paintings at the same time. So much work, so much work. I don't know even where to start to just look at this. The painting dates from 1972. Hey Nina. Hey my dear Leicester. All right, so let's have a look at the colors. So if I try to I'm trying to just pick the main colors. So like in this entire square here, the main color, you can see it here. You can see the hue like on this wheel. You can see the dominating hue, and this is the value triangle. Like the entire value is here, like the entire value scale goes in this axis here, and dark and light. No, this is the chroma, sorry. This is the chroma scale in this angle, and this is the value scale. So for more chroma, you have less value possibilities. And with less chroma, you have more value possibilities. So every time I switch, you can see how it like turns. So we're gonna need this a lot. Alright, so alright, so here so we have this color in this corner. Trying to just pick up how it was painted. Alright, now if I get so I would say this is the most vivid color right here. You also have this yellow here, which is, yeah, kind of yellow. You have this one. What else? You have this blue, but just a tiny bit of blue. You have this gold here. And this gray, so that's his, like the basic color. These are just accents. It's funny how it fits together, and when you look at it separately, hey polar bear. 1872. Yeah, did I say 1972? Yeah, 1872. Not a speck of dust. The blues are nice in this painting. Yeah, they just come as little touches here and there. Yeah. Is such a great painting. So much knowledge. When you look at the helmet and the reflected light, like reflected light here, some blue from a drapery or whatever, some red reflected here. So what suggested there might be more draperies like this one. The level of detail is just mad. Even that, even this simple background element. Generally, when you have such a high level of detail, you lose some of the vitality of the entire color scheme, but not here. Hey Yasser. The fabric and clothing, yeah. That man's blur is so detailed. Could you zoom in on the woman on the right? The woman on the right. Huh? Like the women? And the fabric, just like this is pure knowledge. Like I doubt he really found a fabric such as this, so he probably just took elements and he gave it his own light, like his own light and values, like this. So you take this type of so this type of yellow where it's lit right here, and this color where it's not lit. Same goes for here. This red pinkish. And it works just perfectly when you see it like this. But how do you know when you're painting, when you're the one painting, how do you know that you need this color? This is some amazing skills. And just these rays of sunlight, how they're done. Just you take this bright orange where it's lit, and this and this color where it's not lit, and it's all just so fascinating. So like you have the ray of sunlight here, and when it changes color you have to change too. So you can take this turquoise blue and this dark blue, and it just works. But it's still amazing. No, it's not Photoshop, it's GIMP. Hello, Guido. Their faces are kind of funny. Yeah, well, if you take the faces of a crowd sort of yelling and screaming, you'd probably get some weird faces too. How many faces do you have to paint? They each have a character though. You can't deny that. Like, they each have their own, like, specific identity. And even these guys. And the drama too. I'd say this is not almost nothing, but the least well painted, if I can say it, is this. I'm not really convinced by these. But I really like how, like, to make the background recede, you give it less contrast, so that, like, the shadows, it's not just the values, it's also like you have less shadows, which makes it naturally more like, it's less dark and you don't really notice. You really see the depth. I could spend, I mean, if I had the chance to see it in real life, I would just spend months looking at it. It's 1 meter by 1.5 meter. Nobody looks pretty when screaming. No, almost nobody. Yeah, they want the gladiator killed. It really looks like it, doesn't it? Well, when you think that the movie was made in an actual set, but this was made entirely in a painter's head. It's amazing. And And like the composition too is great. Like you have this curve that goes like this, and this other curve, and you have this strong line. Oops, sorry. Sort of here, but you still have this balance, because the main thing is happening here, but it balances the second next, which is here. I mean, it's really cool. It's a really cool composition. It's one of the greatest painting for me of all time. All right. So let's have a look at another one. Oh. Okay. All right, so this is Diogenes. It was made in and I'm bad at Roman years. LX 60 1860. Oh no, L. Oh man, I suck. I'm ashamed that I don't know this. What does it L mean? It means 50, so it's, yeah, it's 1860. So it's a painting of Diogenes, which was a Greek philosopher, a cynical philosopher, and the dogs are there to signify that this philosopher, well, his entire philosophy was to sort of get out of the human, of everything that was not necessary for human reasoning. Well, what he was thinking was the luxury of wearing clothes and everything was not like Diogenes was a real philosopher, and he wanted to, like, it's hard to explain in English exactly what the idea was, because I don't have like all the philosophy vocabulary to explain, but like he was voluntarily living like in apparently such a barrel like this, and he was just most of the time being a crazy dude, but still he was a very clever philosopher. But he was mostly it's hard to explain. Well, you can look it up. So you still have the background receding with this atmospheric technique where like the value jump between the darkest and the lightest, it's much narrower. Like here you have something very dark and something very light. In here you have something not very dark and not very light. And it makes it like sort of foggy and it pushes it away. Yeah. Il représente souvent des animaux dans ses peintures. Homeless. Did he live in a wine reservoir or grain? Yeah, apparently. Well, we could look, because I'm really sorry that I give such a bad presentation on Diogenes. Alright, so let's have a look at what Wikipedia says. Oh, and this is a painting by Waterhouse. So Diogenes was a Greek philosopher, one of the founders of the Cynic philosophy, and I think he represented dogs because cynic comes from the word for like dogs. Diogenes was a controversial figure. There's lots of things. Cynicism. Oh, another painting. No writing of Diogenes survive. So, cynic ideas are inseparable from cynic practice. Therefore, what we know about Diogenes is contained in anecdotes. So it's mostly about austerity and simplicity. All right, so you can hopefully look it up if you're interested. All right, so let's look at the painting. Yeah, this had a meaning. The story of the lamp had a meaning too, like because like his cynical philosophy made him do all sorts of crazy symbolic stuff, and like he was his lamp was he's famous for his quote like "I'm looking for the man" or "I'm looking for man." I don't know what it would be in English, what the exact quote was. So like he was looking for man, sort of questioning what is mankind, what is humanity. Yeah, most of his contemporaries probably did just take him for a crazy person and consider that he was insane. But somehow his insanity survived, so it means that he had some kind of meaning. Like he was considered insane, but he still made sense somehow. Like he was considered insane by his fellow philosophers and all, but he still survived as a very meaningful person. So seemed like a nice guy, a man of his word. He's not Aflaton. No, it's Diogenes, the Greek philosopher. Alright, so let's look at the painting, shall we? So So obviously this is made, this is more, it looks more like an academy, it looks more like an academy painting, like really great body, very not really idealized, not in the portrait at least, but a really fit person. And you can really see how, like, you can really see an academy model right there. But with some great control of colors. Like I really like how this side of the painting is very cool, very bluish, and you can really feel sort of a way of a ray of light sort of, you can really feel the light coming from here. Again, this is not dead center, it's just so the main mass in the composition is this. It's cut right here, and you have this to balance. So you have like this one big square. Oops, sorry. You have this one big square right here, and this tiny bit like here. Alright, let's look at the colors. Oh, some purple. It's funny how... Oh, okay. Alright. Well, I'm gonna put it here. Alright, so I really like this color here. Skin tones, yellowish somehow. Here's more pinkish. It goes with this. It's kind of the same type of color. And you have the reddish colors with this, I don't know how it's called, barrel. And yellowish. It's the most vivid color. And then you have all the darks. Well, it's kind of the same, but this one's more brownish. Huh? As to why he was called a dog, Diogenes replied, "Because I fawn upon those who give me anything, and bark at those who give me nothing, and bite the rogues." Greetings, Barbara. He was searching for one honest man. Okay. What was Jerome's technique? I think he was not. He was more. He had a very indirect approach to painting, which is with many layers. Not necessarily too much glazing. I think he was really looking for the right colors as soon as it had it on his brush. I don't think, maybe like the people in his painting had some grisaille, but I'm not sure. I think he was more like a mix between an impressionist and an academicist, if you can call it that. Like, he was really trying to get the right color. He didn't have like the bold brush work. He was really looking for a very detailed result, which is why he was working with many layers after layers after layers. But I think he was really trying to get the right color and mix and put the exact color right on the canvas. No, I don't think there was a lot of grisaille, and I don't think there was a lot of glazing. There was some glazing. I don't think it was such a huge part, because like if we zoom in, it's hard to see glazing. When it's properly done, it's hard to see glazing. Like, yeah, there is some glazing on the skins here. But not too much. And he was great at just painting textures. I think he really had a gift for like knowing exactly when to let it dry or when to paint it directly. Like for this, if I wanted to do that with just a pure wet on wet approach, it's gonna be kind of hard. So what I would do is probably like first paint the ground with like a normal level of detail, and then first paint some sort of yellowish mass, trying to get this effect, but not you don't get that on your first. I don't think you get that on your very first. And then when it's dry, with just another layer, you put some details, because like all this detail, like every straw has a shadow. Look, it's every tiny piece of rock has a shadow. Everything is just looking perfectly good, like how it's supposed to. So you don't get that on like pure wet on wet if it's too wet. So he was probably working with many layers to give it more refinement. Light in color, but more classical approach. Yeah, I would say that. But I think we're gonna have like this was one of his this was one of his most classical, if we can say that, classical work. But he soon became more interested in Orientalism, and we're gonna have a look at one of these. All right, so this one is amazing. So this is the entire painting. It's called I don't know how it's called. I don't have the word I know the exact title. What's the difference between classical approach and contemporary? Well, contemporary doesn't have like an approach, like doesn't need an approach. Well, if you mean contemporary, like today's painting, even realistic painting today goes all over the place. But like I'm always amazed by this one. I don't know if is it crooked? I don't know if it's normal or if the picture was taken crooked. Well, but I mean, who wants to paint something with tiles like this? Is it called tiles? And with the texture of light reflecting in it. And shadows on it. And like cracks and discoloration. I mean, if you look at this, imagine yourself painting this. It's like, shoot me, please, shoot me. Like you have all the discoloration, the imperfection, and yet it still works amazingly realistical. And you have and I forgot, you also have your perspective, and you have an almost perfect, like, I'm sorry I don't have a better quality, but you have an almost perfect texture of velvet. Perfect texture of metal, like aged bronze. I mean, and like, look at the shadow, how perfectly it is painted. Like, oh, like you say, oh well, yeah, cool, that's the background. No, it's so you can question whether or not it's a good idea. Like, it's not the greatest white. The blue is not necessarily perfect. It's not necessarily working too well with this red, which is sort of the main subject. But if you just consider and look at this, I mean, can you picture yourself painting this shadow in making it look as realistic. Where's the separation between the shadow and the light? You don't know. It's so soft, and yet it's very geometric, just like the edge of the seat. I'm always amazed by the level of texture and color working together. Like the textures with Jerome never like kill the color, and the color never kills the texture. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the amount of work that this represents, it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Well, I'm amazed by this. I mean, it's so subtle. Sorry, but this like tiny touch of white here is here to signify that the tiles are sort of imperfect and like have some reflected light, and it's, you see that it's shiny, and you have some of it here too. And here you have some cracks. I give up on basic portraits. How limited do you think his palette was? I think he had quite a large palette, because he can have some quite vivid areas. I think he had some decently powerful red, even though he never uses it like pure. It's not like remember that he was living at the same time. He was living when Van Gogh was living, when Monet was starting, when all the new expressionists and impressionists and all these new like painters of vivid color were around. So he had the colors. I think he used a sort of classical color, a classical palette, but he was still using some new pigments for accents. But you don't need a very strong palette for this one. I mean, if you look at this blue, which feels quite powerful, right? Well, let me... Well, the color is this here. I'm gonna paint with it. So this is the blue, like here. So it's not too powerful. You'd think, oh, but this gold yellowish is more powerful. Of course, no, it's not too much. But you'd say, oh, but this blue is kind of strong. No, not too much. And you say, oh, right, so this red is very deep. No, it's not even red, it's brownish red. You could think, oh, well, he needed a very strong red. No, not too much. Like this could be English red or Venetian. No, maybe not Venetian red. But this could be English red. Like if considering it's pure, of course, but I doubt it. Like you'd say, oh, okay. There you could need some red. It's not. See, it's not so strong. It's never very chromatic. And this is the real genius. Yeah, you could have a palette almost as limited as Zorn. I don't know about Zorn palette, but yeah, it was kind of limited. He had some powerful pigments for the top accents and maybe bring some punch here and there. But yeah, other than that, you're in love with these color choices. Alright, so you're in luck because we're gonna have a look at even better colors. I don't know where just, oh, this one is amazing too. I mean, if you like pretty colors, you have to love this one. Where they're placed is key. Yeah, exactly. And it's the harmony is that you put your colors exactly at the right spot. Again, you have to, don't forget that at this time, like he was a part of a movement like sort of called Orientalism, where Western painters were depicting scenes from the Orient, from the West, from the East. Sorry, and at the time it was not just for fun; it was sort of reporting, documenting, because like the people in the West didn't really have an idea of how the Middle East was and how these things were. It was very, very exotic at the time. And there was this big movement that was following war. Like warlords like Napoleon had like some wars in Egypt against the British, and with him he took a lot of scientists, a lot of writers, a lot of painters, a lot of archaeologists, and they were all like, their mission was to sort of report how things were. And this probably a little bit I don't know how it was at the time, but it could be a little bit how could you call it, exaggerated, but it's like having a great picture of the Middle East, and like you have all the details. And when I my point was, all these scientists and archaeologists and everyone was trying to document and give a true visual representation of what it was like. And the level of detail is part of this spirit, like the attention to detail. Yeah, I'm sure they weren't like this, but it was more like to give an idea. Like, I'm sure it's much exaggerated, like all the traditional clothing and everything. But there was this idea that you want to give like not a realistic, but like an exotic image. And I think this attention to detail is part of this spirit. So I don't know, does it mean anything? I mean, is it actual words? If it is, I mean, it's... But if you look at the snake... Oh, I'm sorry, the quality is not as good. So of course it's an exaggerated vision of this like the colors are probably much exaggerated, but they still look great. I mean, I'm in love with this blue here. It's basically blue and yellow. And then you have see, you don't need that such a strong blue for that. Don't necessarily need a super intense and vivid blue. Yeah, this snake is amazing. You missed that blue in the foreground? Yeah. Kind of, you could have had a drapery here, or... because of all the yellow. Yeah, the basic idea is blue on one side and yellow on the other side. Right, let's look at another. This one is cool too. I think society was a lot different at the time, and like both societies, both the Western and the Middle Eastern, I think, in my opinion, it was a lot different. Yeah, like today it would be impossible, but societies change. And the nudity was more was more coming from the Western painter than the actual thing happening there. So this one is pretty cool too. I really like how, I mean, the shadows of these birds and how they translate from light to shadows. So it's mostly yellowish green, yellowish green, and with tiny touches of color, like bam, bam, but not very, very controlled. So most of the colors are this one and this one. So it's a little bit yellow greenish though, which is why it's a lot more powerful than just yellow orange. And little bits of red, yellow bits of orange, and the fact that, well, what I really like is how sort of the shadows of this mostly yellow ochre wall is made with like some sort of greenish yellow, where you see it's just mostly he was polluting his yellow with tiny bits of blue to create this sort of yellowish greenish, sorry, parts, which really gives it vibrancy. Didn't use green like the same as here, but more mixed with the paint. And yeah, tiny accents, of course. It's not very powerful colors, but because they're sort of the only ones, they work. In these paintings, the society is depicted so perfectly in the eyes of Westernism. Yeah, don't forget that the parts where he was were parts of the Middle East that was dominated and under control of Western, like foreigners, like British or French. It was not like the Middle Eastern that were like living by themselves. It was only areas that were under control of the Western world at the time. So it's a very limited palette if you think about it. But the intention was not to depict something perfect or whatever. It was just to create something exotic. And the intention was not to like make a very exact report of how people were living there, but more how it looked, to just have something exotic to show in the salons in France or England. Like the intention was not to depict the real life, because it's not realism in how people are depicted. Like the people are not realistically doing stuff. Like it's not a photograph. But the intention was more to have an exotic visual impression, a visualization of these parts of the world, and how things look, how the architecture looks, how the sun feels, how the sand feels, how the textures of the wall feels. I think this was the intention, not depicting like the people in a realistic way, in any sort of way. It was more, this was not made for documentation. It was made for entertaining Westerners by giving them something they've never seen before. Never seen before. So, yeah, it's mostly for entertaining Westerners. Maybe this one is not the best one, because we're not gonna see a lot. What else? I mean, this one. It's a view of Cairo. So if someone lives in Cairo, probably in a better spot to tell if it looks something like this, but it's pretty damn impressive. Yeah, he traveled there, so I think he painted a lot while he was there. That one is amazing, yeah. Like, in the sense of perspective, So it's not great quality, but you can see you can see the principles and you can still learn. So like foreground, the principle of color. So in the foreground, so I'm just put it here. So in the foreground, the darkest is this, and the lightest is this. So between this and this, you have a huge value range. So next, like second, we could say second raw. Like I'm gonna try to, so like this is an opening in a window. So let's have a look at something else, like another window like this. So you have either this or maybe this. Look. And light is still as light. So the light hasn't changed, the lightest hasn't changed, but the darkest has changed. Now let's take it further. So let's try to pick a window or trying to pick something. Well, maybe this. No, it's the same. It's hard because it's so small. Let's pick this. So it's a little bit lighter, and the lightest light still kind of the same, and really the background, the darkest would be this, or and you have the addition of this too. So it's becoming more and more bluish as you go further in the shadows. So like here you have some very more grayish blue, and let's take the lightest in the background. So the lightest would be this. So this is how you make like the atmospheric perspective. When it goes further away, it's less dark and less light. And of course you have the sky, but the sky you think is very blue. It's not necessarily super blue. Well, it's kind of blue, but not. See, it's not super intense. Doesn't need to. Doesn't need to. And the sky is generally lighter and less chromatic. On the horizon. Oh, you have the pyramids here. Didn't even notice. Sorry. Didn't even notice the pyramids here. one I really like. Oh, this one's cool. It's small, and the quality is not great. This one, I'm not gonna really talk about it, but oh, come on. It's just to give you, this one gives you the context of where Jerome was painting. So he was following Napoleon in his campaign, and he was one of the guys like following and like recording sort of everything that was happening. This one is kind of intense. Like, I really like how the dust feels really real. This is ultramarine tinted with flash colors. I know. So really cool how you have this gradient and these volutes of dust and sand. So yeah, whenever you see like scenes of the Western world in Orientalism paintings, you have to remember that this was painted under the domination of the Westerners, and this was like, Napoleon was not a fan of things being realistic. He was more a fan of things being idealized. But I like how in this painting though, he's quite humble though. Like, he's not really at the top of the world. He's in the center of the attention, but it's still it's not the most obviously idealized depiction of Napoleon. All right, let's have a look. I wanted to see the one with Cleopatra, but I really like this one. It's very small. Oh no, it's not even Cleopatra. I thought it was. It's called Excursion of the Harem. But like the color composition is just such a very simple and very efficient in terms of color. It's a great use of color. Very simple, very simple. It's just sienna and tiny bits of blue, but not too much. And I like how you have these very intense shadows and these reddish stones in the background. It's very powerful. The colors aren't that intense, but they're just used masterfully. So it's this looks exactly like raw sienna. This could be burnt sienna, raw sienna. And then of course you have this tiny bits of green, brown, and then you have the water, which is not very blue. Most of us would call that gray, actually. Hi, Anand. I mean, this use of color and this color composition is really sweet. You have like this a stripe of blue on top, a stripe of blue at the bottom, and this orangey core in the center, like a stripe of orange in the center. Trying to have another one. This one too. This one. Quality is not good, so I really can't zoom in. But I'm sure he has seen it, so you have to keep that in your memory. I don't know how he did this, because this doesn't last long. How can you like remember the colors before it goes away? Didn't have photography. He probably had a sketchbook where he just like, oh yes, I have to take this, and just take this tiny bit of this, and just on the side of a piece of paper, just to have a mental note of what to use. But think that this doesn't last longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So of course the rest of the landscape was not done on the spot. But how can you... For like an hour? No, I wouldn't say this type of light with, like, you have the shadow of the horizon here on the pyramids. This is the shadow of the horizon. So I wouldn't say this lasts long. No, this doesn't last long. Well, you can have this type of light around there, but to have this this doesn't last long. It's very, very short. But like, if you had to remember it, like most of the time, your memory would exaggerate, and you think, oh, it's very orange, it's very pink, very strong, very powerful. When you look at it, actually, it's not that powerful. This pink is kind of fade. Almost looks like skin tone color. So you have to remember this pink, but in relation to the rest. Oh, where you live. Oh, polar bear. Yeah, if you live like very north, or in close to the Arctic Circle, or south. You have this type of color for like an hour, yeah. Well, closer to the equator, you would have this for a very short time. 3 minutes, I'd say, max. Well, these are very small. The quality is gonna be very bad. Colors on this one are great too. I mean, you really feel the light coming from here. Don't like the colors as much on this one. It's a bit too brownish. I like Jerome better when he's painting something more like this, with variety in the shadows. Like very brownish like this, well, it looks good, but it's not my favorite. I'm trying to find a good example, but the size doesn't give me a great quality. So this is not an Orientalist. It's painting about Versailles. Réception du Grand Condé à Versailles. So I don't know what it's supposed to report. It's supposed to depict a history scene with Louis XIV right there. But I don't know why he painted this. He was not living in the same time. Just for those who are not well versed on French history, Louis XIV which is the Sun King, died long before the time of Jerome. Well, quality is not perfect too, so I can't resume. But you could tell that the faces are all pretty defined. Let's see if we have something in the Google Art project. Oh, this. See, we can have it in much more detail, so you can really feel how he was a fan of textures, like details and tiny textures. And this rock really feels great. Huh. I think he was really interested in textures. Did he sculpt? Yes, he did. Did some sculpting. Like this, for instance. Not the greatest. Did this. Well, the photo is not giving this sculpture justice. See, he started with more classical work like this. When I say he started, yeah, 1846 was more in the beginning of his time. Before he traveled, I think. Like, this is pure academy, and it's not as good, to be honest. It's not as good. You can already see that he was interested, but like the color and the light, like the light is all faded, like it's classical composition 101 right here, but you have no real sense of light. You don't know if is it sunlight, because like apparently the sky is blue, so is it supposed to be sunlight? And if it's sunlight, They're not supposed to be all well polished like this. They're supposed to be harsh shadows and like very harsh highlights. So is it sunlight or is it not? Apparently it's kind of both, so it doesn't work. So this is why the impression of light is much worse than in something like this, for instance, or like this, or no, not this one, or like this. See, harsh shadows. So this was the time when this was one of his least impressive period. The carpet merchants. Oh, there's some guy here. And see again the textures, amazing textures. Wow. But of course the detail on the carpet is amazing, but it's mostly the light. I mean, if you look at this ray of light and how the light here fades. Yeah, it looks flat. The most classical work from his. Yeah, it looks flat, I agree. Looks like a horror. Where country are you from, Paul Aubert? Which artist is it from? It's from Jerome, Jean-Léon Jerome. Hi, Fimax. But the most amazing work it was before. So, oh, this is also very classical. What? Oil and canvas? What? It's just a study, I'm sure. What is this? So this is a sketch for a larger composition. This gives you a clue of his way of working. So lots of research, lots of sketches. England. So you consider England to be close to the Arctic Circle? Yeah, I think it's not unfinished. It was a sketch for a larger composition that was not finished. You're going through this Helsinki obsession right now, so seeing this is a nice refresher on different styles and periods. Yeah. You can see how it's been darkened by all the dust and the smoke. You can even see the I don't know how you call this, the mortar or the concrete that you put between. Amazing. I mean, who wants to paint all this? And you think, oh, you just have to follow the drawing. No, because it changes color. Look at this and look at this. It's not the same blue. Look at this and look at this. It's not the same white. It's not even white here. And look at this. I mean, who in their right mind could be okay for painting such a complicated pattern? Plus you add the texture and the cracks and the... I mean, this is what amazed me with Jerome. That the guy could just have painted a plain flat background and say, okay, it's just two guys talking, and there you go. The turban, yeah. Well, the turban is okay because painting drapery is it's alright. It's like something that is supposed to move a lot and to... Yeah, drapery is and clothing in general is okay. Oh, there's a cat here. Clothing in general is not really a problem. But as soon as you get into geometric shapes like this, that's when trouble starts. Because, well, you can make one tile really, really great and nice, but you have to do exactly the same with the perspective for the rest of the entire painting. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have 1 here, 6. 1, 2, 3. And everything has to be done following both the perspective, the value shift, and the design. Every time the design has to be exactly the same. I would never start even doing something like this. And plus, it really feels like it's part of this room, this very dark and dusty room. Like it's not something that you, because sometimes when you go into too much detail, it ends up looking weird and looking out of place, but right there, this really belong. Hi Previn. I'm good, thank you. No, this is not Indian art. This is a movement that was called Orientalism, and this was mostly about places like Egypt, like Morocco, and maybe Turkey. This was done by the artist called Jean-Léon Jerome. It's part of the movement where they sort of traveled at the time of Napoleon. The slave market. I don't think he had tigers there, though. I think this was more for exotism. See, on this one, it's very different from the first one that we've seen, Pollice verso. This one, like the light, is not as good on this one. Or maybe it's because the sky is gray. This one is not his greatest landscape. So from his drawings, you can really see that he was more a linear type of artist. Like thinking first with lines and next with colors. So he was not a colorist, but he was very good at using colors though. So this tells a lot. Oh, you're welcome, Barbara. It's not even a real movement. It's more like no. It never really was a movement as such. It was more like a trend that lasted for few dozens, like I would say 20 years maybe, not long, it didn't last long. So the idea was more to bring exotic stuff to like the rich Westerners that were bored with all the academies, and bring them something new that was not Greek mythology again, but that was still exotic and looked new. Yeah, see you, Vox. All right. Yeah, it's time for me too, guys. So I'll leave you on this, and I'll come back to my first. I just want to have a look at this again. Probably one of my favorite paintings. All right, so if I have made you discover Jerome or Orientalism, I'm great that I could be that I could bring something new to you, and I hope you appreciate this episode. Leave a like, and let me know what in the comments below. Let me know what you would like to see for the next episode, and I'll try to take this in consideration. And all right, thank you for being here, and as always, take care and see you next time. Bye, everyone.